All right, so today we're doing a gym owner breakdown with Jordan O'Neill. So to get started, Jordan, can you just tell us a little bit of background about your gym? So where you're based, what model you're running, and how long you've been open?
Yeah, so we're based in Belfast and we run a 1 to 12 model. So yeah, that's
Nice. All right, perfect. So obviously we've been working together for a few years now. So like, where was the business at when we first spoke? Like, what was tough, what was challenging, what was, areas that you were looking to improve on and grow?
yeah, so I actually have an interesting story with that. So we're probably working with you for about the last 5 years, so since COVID. And I'm not too sure if you actually know this, but we started out and it was in like a wee garage and it was like a 3-person garage. We were running electric off like a generator in a street and we were getting calls from the council every day and we were just sort of like, you know, turning a blind eye trying to anyway. So I actually bought a house in May, and I was only 25 at the time, so it's crazy thinking back. So bought a house in the May, and then by the time October came, so I think it was September, we were getting that much uh, letters through the door, all the rest of it, that we were like, right, like we're going to have to move here. So it wasn't even the case of that we grew so much that we had to, which is like the natural thing.
Yeah.
We just had to go for it. So we moved across to the bigger place. So we obviously run a 1 to 12 model now, but we went across with about 30 people. So that's when we were like, right, we need to do something. So we started obviously working with yourselves. And that's where we just were able to then really kick on from there and push. So we actually started out I think it was a 1 to 6, and then went to a 1 to 8, 1 to 10, and then now obviously at a 1 to 12. And I think that's the maximum that we can do. Like, but
Yeah.
it's just an interesting story because at the time, thinking back now, you're like, Jesus Christ, how did I get through all that? The stress and the pressure. So maybe that I was so young, it actually helped.
Yeah, I think like, not a lot of gym owners, but plenty of gym owners have had similar issues where, you're starting with a bit of like a tough start point. Like not everyone starts with a big shiny facility and the nice fit outs and all that kind of thing that you can quite often see on Instagram. Like your story is similar to mine in some ways. We started in a tiny industrial unit. I bought all secondhand equipment and really wasn't like a polished start point at all. And I think, as you said, you probably learn quite a lot from that and gain quite a lot of experience and resilience from those kind of start points that help you in business moving forwards. So obviously you started there, I think you said around the 30 kind of member mark when you moved over to the new place. What were kind of the two or three big changes that you then implemented over those first few years that helped you kind of move from that point into a much better spot with the business?
Yeah, I suppose the biggest thing that so we obviously jumped on with yourselves. And when I jumped on, the one thing I sort of committed to was, look, anything these guys tell me, I'm going to do it. And I did. And I took action on it. And so that, yeah, we've grown since then. We've grown from 30, I think since Monday, we're 195 active. So we're more or less at our operational capacity. So yeah, we've grown massively. The one or two things that I've probably implemented and took away is the growth through the adverts and the Facebook ads, essentially, or meta ads. Being able to do that and then also have it predictable to where like I know exactly how many people I need, what I need to spend, that way. So that's probably the main thing to push the business to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think we were chatting a little bit off camera before, but you've kind of had two phases a little bit with the business where you've come in at, a low member start point at the very beginning of the journey and then getting that up to, around the 200 member mark and did that reasonably quickly. And then over the last year and a half, you've had a different kind of transition from being the operator in the business on the gym floor to change into a slightly different role. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that, how that's happened and how that's changed like for you on a personal perspective.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So I think the past year, like that's been the biggest transition for myself personally, moving into that, the owner role essentially and off the coaching floor and trying to manage a team. And I suppose with the higher member number that we're at now, the revenue's been pretty good, and it's been steady as well. So it's allowed us to actually invest into the team, to allow me then to come off the coaching floor. Just there in September, we actually had a wee baby, so it's helped massively being off the coaching floor with the baby and stuff. So yeah, no, it's a tough transition, especially for me personally, because I loved coaching, but you can see when you're outside of things, it's definitely the best move for a business owner.
Yeah, I think it's good to have the choice to be able to do that, like to have built the business in a way that, when you start a family, when you have a baby, when even if, for another gym owner, maybe their love of coaching isn't there anymore and they still want to run the business, they still want to do some coaching, but they don't want to be on the gym floor, you know, every single day, morning and evening, like to be able to put in place the systems and the team to allow you to do that is definitely a big win. Cause I mean, I had a baby coming up to 2 years ago now, and like I'd been long off the gym floor at that point. And probably similar to you, I was like, I don't know how I would have managed this if I had to coach 6 a.m.s and finish at 9 p.m. and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's such a tough and like big life change, especially in the first, 6 to 12 months, that like having that freedom definitely makes that side of your life a lot easier. It's certainly easier than it would have been if you were, still doing split shifts and all of those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. No, for sure. And then even being off the coaching floor too allows you to give you more time for obviously doing the things that need your focus. So obviously the likes of like marketing, sales, and even being able to build the systems and processes behind the scenes for everything to flow a wee bit better. That's massive for us. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's why as well, like we're at a point now where the team knows exactly what they're doing. They've bought into the vision and they all have clear roles. It's only with gym owner and the trainings and stuff that like provide us, and like even with Carl, they have the sales training. Like every single one of us in the team have went through that training, and we're all doing really well.
That's perfect. All right. Last couple of questions then. So first one would be, what do you feel like are the top two, three, maybe like results or benefits that we've had, from working with us and the relationship that we've had so far?
Yeah, I think just what I mentioned there with the sales training's a massive one, like the weekly calls and stuff with yourselves, and you're always there to if there's any questions, and you know you get a good reply, and that's really helpful. And then the other side of it is, I suppose, going through the system and following the trainings. Everything's there from managing a team to how to set up Facebook ads. And as I said, like, if you commit yourself to going, like you know yourself, you get a lot of people who do mentorships and they say it didn't work for me. But when people say that, and I'm thinking, I just know they haven't implemented what they've told them, and they haven't went all in. And if you do that, I think you're going to reap the rewards.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, makes sense. All right, perfect. Last question then is if you were, obviously you've come through a long journey from the original like garage gym, working off the generator, all that kind of stuff. So like if you could go back and tell yourself some advice, based on everything that you know now, like what would be one of those pieces of advice that you pass on that like another gym owner listening to this might be able to take some value or some insight from?
Yeah, for myself, like it's nothing that I didn't do in the sense, because I did do it, and it's just reaching out for help. Like as I said, like when we moved across to that big unit, I was like, Jesus, this is gonna be insane, to try and fill this place. And my uncle's actually a contractor, and he was down viewing it with me and going, like, the sexiest place, and you don't realize now. Whereas now we're like, Jesus, we need a bigger gym. At the time, you're like, it's scary and stuff. So yeah, no, just reaching out for help, mate. I think too, like there's people out there that are in a position that you want to be in, so they can fast track you and accelerate you to that place rather than you making all the stupid mistakes that you have to make. And even now, I'm at the point now where, as I said, I'm off the gym floor, but I'm thinking, right, well, there's people there who are in the position where I want to be, so I'm just asking questions and constantly torturing them. Like,
Good stuff, mate. All right, perfect. I mean, like I said, it's been great to see your progress over the last 4 or 5 years, and obviously going from that starting point to where you are now and being out of the business, good revenue, good member numbers, obviously massive win. So we're happy to have played a small part in that over that period of time. So good work.
yeah, thank you, mate.